Hello there, good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Sally Nugent and John Kay.
Our headlines today. Nina, thank you very much indeed. Now, tributes have been paid to a 73-year-old British man who died when a Singapore Airlines flight from London hit severe turbulence and dropped around 6,000 feet within 4 minutes. Dozens of injured passengers and some crew are still receiving medical treatment in Thailand. But most of those on board have finally arrived in Singapore. Our reporter Paul Hawkins has the story. Well, our correspondent Monica Miller is at Singapore Airport for us this morning, where many of the passengers and crew have been taken. Morning to you, Monica. What's the latest on the people who were injured during the flight? A former Royal Marine charged with assisting the Hong Kong Intelligence Service has been found dead in a park in Maidenhead. Police in England have been told to consider making fewer arrests because of a lack of space in prisons. In a letter seen by the BBC, the National Police Chiefs Council warns forces that the current situation is unsustainable. Well, our chief political correspondent, Henry Zeffman, is in Westminster for us this morning. So, MP, that word interesting, the current situation, unsustainable. A year-long investigation has found that more than 1,000 workers might have died from ill treatment during Germany's occupation of Alderney in World War II. Around 7,000 prisoners from 27 countries were shipped to the Channel Island to build the bunkers of Hitler's so-called Atlantic Wall. It was previously concluded that just under 400 had died. Our reporter Robert Hall has more.
Paula Reynolds to turn up at the inquiry while we're on air this morning, so we'll go back to Ben throughout the programme and, of course, full coverage of everything she says across BBC News over the next couple of days.
It's going to be a busy programme this morning because in around an hour from now we're going to find out the latest inflation figures. Nina is keeping an eye.
17 minutes past 6, and if you were watching a couple of days ago, you might remember we were talking about Imogen Boddy, who was hoping to make history by becoming the fastest person ever to complete the National Three Peaks Challenge.
Guess what?
I can guess.
She's done it.
Surprise. Past 6, sunny when she finished. She's probably glad she did it then, hey, Carol?
Yes, today. Now, the Conservative MP, Craig McKinley, is returning to Parliament for the first time today after losing his hands and his feet to sepsis.
It's an extraordinary story, this. When he was rushed to hospital last year, Mr McKinley was given just a 5% chance of survival. He was put into an induced coma, but now he's back home. He's using prosthetic limbs, and he's been speaking to our political correspondent, Helen Catt.
Wow.
McKinley talking there to Helen Catt. What a story.
And I think there will be a queue of people today waiting to shake that hand.
Absolutely,
yeah.
When he gets back to Parliament.
Yeah.
It's 6:26. Let's have a look at this morning's papers, shall we?
The moment we have them. Nina is on standby.
7 o'clock, we should get them on the dot, so we'll bring them to you. Interesting story here in the Times today. You know, we did our social media children's safety edition of Breakfast a couple of weeks ago. And one of the ideas being talked about was Brianna Jai's mum, Esther, was here saying she thinks that smartphones should be banned for under 16-year-olds. Well, St Albans in Hertfordshire wants to become the first city in the UK to go smartphone-free for children under the age of 14. And they've got head teachers from 20 local primary schools have signed a letter to parents right across the city saying, what's the phrasing? Parents should reset the expectations of their children, resist pressure, and try to make sure they don't have a phone that can do anything other than texting and calling until they're 14, 15 years old.
It is such a good idea. It's hard to enforce.
It's really hard, isn't it?
So St Albans want to lead the way.
Yeah, they do. And it's because we got some figures, didn't we, from Ofcom a couple of weeks ago, which said that a third of children aged between 5 and 7 are now using social media regularly, unsupervised. That's the kind of thing that they want to tackle. Whether under 14-year-olds in St Albans are quite so keen, we'll find out. We'll have a look at that story in the weeks ahead.
Still to come here on Breakfast, Kevin Sinfield is going to join us in.
Kev's got his trainers on, and we'll find out what that challenge involves a little bit later. Looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, but now it's time to get the news, the travel and the weather where you are.